Hey guys, wanted to get on today and talk a little bit about a topic that I discussed last week in training down in Orem, and that's personal integrity and self-discipline. I just want to talk a little bit about some of the realizations that I've made, and hopefully this will help some of you with some of the things that you're going through. So integrity, I asked the attendees there, what is integrity? And I know there's multiple definitions, but somebody gave the answer of principles, and that really stood out to me. That's kind of what I was looking for. I think when I think of integrity, I think somebody who has moral principles and upholds them, is honest, and believes in the quality of being honest. I didn't ask the question, but I should have, in looking back to them, of would someone with integrity keep their commitments? I think it's a given, but I still think to bridge the gap between the point I was trying to make, I think that would help. Obviously, they would, right? I asked them after that, with a raise of hands, who considers themselves to be a person of integrity? And looking around the room quickly, I think just about everybody had their hand in the air and would consider themselves a person of integrity, as I would too. I watched, along that topic, though, I watched an interview that Ed Mylett did of Chris and Heidi Powell a couple weeks back, and in that interview, Chris said, he started talking about a little bit about the commitments that we make to ourselves. And, I'd been thinking about that for a little while now. What about these commitments that we make to ourselves? Where do they factor in? Integrity has always been a big thing to me when I've done business trainings or in working with different employees or different teams. Integrity, we would get asked from time, what's a characteristic that you value, things like that. And integrity is always something that came to mind for me. I value integrity and honesty, and I think that most people would say the same. But those commitments, where I kept thinking, how do those factor in? What effect do those have? Ed Mylett, I listened to quite a bit of his stuff. He says keeping commitments you make to yourself is the key to self-confidence, self-mastery, and ultimately success in life. So these commitments, I think we make these little commitments to ourselves regularly. I know before I got started with Optavia, I would say, I'm going to hit it hard on Monday, or this time I'm gonna eat healthy from now on, or even other things like I'm not going to hit the snooze button anymore, or I'm going to start exercise. I'm going to get up early in the morning and start exercising, or I'm going to read that book, or I'm going to start meditating. Now, with my health plan, sticking to the 5 and 1 100%. I won't deviate. I'm gonna make sure I weigh my food. I'm gonna do all these things, and then Monday comes around, and for one reason or another, we don't stick to those things, and we break that commitment that we've made to ourselves. And we do it easily. We don't give it a second thought. Where I think if we had made a commitment to with somebody else to do one of those things for them or whatever, we would go above and beyond to uphold that. So it got me thinking, why am I so quick to break those promises that I make to myself? There was another video that started going around, or I guess on social media a while back. Will Smith, he'd made some statements about self-integrity and self-discipline, and said that self-discipline is the ultimate show of self-love. self-discipline is foregoing immediate pleasure for long-term self-respect. And that in conjunction with this interview really got to me. It made me start thinking, why am I sacrificing my integrity, even though it's with myself? It still should be at least as much as important as what I feel I would keep for someone else. Stephen Covey has an awesome quote, or a quote that I love. He's got many awesome quotes, but he said, when you make a commitment to yourself, do so with the clear understanding that you're pledging your integrity. And then Heidi Powell, in that same interview, she made a statement that I thought went right along with Stephen Covey's quote, and that's to have personal integrity. Your word to yourself has to be more powerful than your reasons and excuses. So many of you know my story. A year ago, I was 430 pounds. I was trying to qualify for bariatric surgery through my insurance. I couldn't stand for more than a couple of minutes, walk for more than a couple of minutes without my legs going numb. I was in a pretty rough spot, honestly, and was very fortunate to see a good friend of mine, Jody Trehill's post on Facebook. And I got going on the plan, and within just a couple of weeks, 3 weeks, many of my pains had improved. And by February this year, I was down 170 pounds. But at that point, for one reason or another, I started breaking some of those commitments to myself, especially sticking to the 5 and 100%. I would be great throughout the week, but the weekend, for some reason, I would make an exception, and I got off track. My weight has fluctuated a little bit. It's gone up about 30 pounds and then down a little bit and then back up 30 pounds up, and up until this last month when I kind of made this connection finally with this the integrity thing. So and what I've noticed since I've made that commitment to keep that promise to myself that I'm going to keep my commitments, is that it's built momentum. As I make those choices to keep those commitments, it's started to become just second nature. It's easier and easier each choice that I make, and so that is something that has really helped me. I never really looked at those commitments that I make with myself because I hadn't said anything out loud to anybody. It's just with myself. I'm the only one that knows, right? I hadn't looked at them with that kind of gravity. But when you think of all the things tied to that, your self-confidence, many things, your success overall is built around that. That makes me think I need to look at those in a little bit more of with a little more consequence when I don't keep those commitments. And so I've really over this last month, I've been able to really refocus, and it's helped me get back on track. And I believe it'll help me achieve my healthy weight and maintain it. I really want to be someone who identifies as a healthy person. I think right now I'm still somebody who has lost weight or is losing weight, and I want to be to that point where, I am a healthy person, so I don't eat certain things. I don't make those choices. I do exercise. I do certain things. So, and I think this is really going to help me do it, and has helped me get going and gain some momentum. And so I hope that this will help some of you as well. Thanks, guys.